What's up, everybody? We're back. Well, I'm back. I've got a special guest tonight. It is draft season. We are just, what is it, 9 days away, if I'm keeping count. I think that's about right. 9 days away from the draft. I'm going to Nashville. I'm hooking up with a good friend there, actually meeting him for the first time in person instead of in this virtual world we live in these days. But it's going to be fun. We're going to get to that and some more. But right now, welcome back to the show. We have him on every off season. My good buddy Edgar Salmingo. Edgar, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, Trip. Good to hear from you again.
Always, man, always. So Edgar, it's been every year. I think we talk about this every off season. Every off season, as we get closer to the draft's so far away. Things build up. They build up. It goes one week. It's Carolina's really hot on this guy. The next week, Carolina's really hot on this guy. It gets insane, man. It just gets crazy.
Right.
And I know you guys try to weather through it, and Eugene, Billy, and all that, trying to keep up with everything. And obviously, that's why I always like to get you on the show, man. You always have good takes on the draft, and y'all's opinions, and keeping up with the visits and stuff is always good. So I want to hit on all that again, of course, tonight. But first, we're gonna hit some news. And I know you were a fan of this one. Kyle Love re-signing a 1-year deal.
Uh-huh.
I know they talked about at one point it didn't look like they were going to get him back at all. I know Jordan said that they seemed to be at one point far apart on anything they wanted. I think Kyle wanted to test free agency. He was getting up there a little bit in age. I know he probably wanted to get a multi-year deal somewhere possibly if he could. But obviously a key depth piece for this defensive line who's has aged, and then also we've lost a lot on the defensive side of the ball. What was your take? I know you said you liked it on. I saw you talk about it on Twitter. What was your overall thought on that, considering the current state of the defensive line?
I mean, he's good depth. I mean, like he's just. I don't want to say he's just a guy, but he was good. I mean, he made some plays these last couple of years. I mean, those that have been following the Panthers and watching every game. Sometimes you'll see a game where he has a tackle for a loss, or he shows up and. The Panthers had for many years, like not very before KK, before Star, they had nobody up in the middle. And so it's nice to bring Kyle Love back. But the thing is, I'm hoping this doesn't close the door on Alan Bailey, who would be a stud next to Dontari Poe. Yeah. Someone who's a difference maker. To me, it's a really quality depth signing. You don't have to fill it with a guy from the AAF or a guy from the draft. But excited to see him back, and I'm glad that they were able to fill a hole where, anybody that can beef up this defensive line will always be good news.
Yeah, I was pretty high on hoping. Well, I say pretty high on. I was hoping they would be able to bring in Alan Bailey and actually get him signed. And I'm wondering, and I think you said this. I think it was you. I read. Also said I was kind of wondering if this didn't put an end to the Alan Bailey. If that was kind of like a backup plan if they couldn't bring Love back potentially.
Yeah, I was hoping it didn't close the door on him. Obviously, he's still I guess he was reported to be visiting Seattle, so I think he's just playing his options right now. But I'm they're already up against the salary cap, but I'm pretty sure they're still interested in Alan Bailey.
Yeah, and maybe they're able to bring him in, and that was going to be kind of another thing. Is we talked about this 3-4 scheme. They brought in Bruce Irvin. Alan Bailey would have been a nice fit for that. And like you said, along with Dontari Poe and Quan Shorten as whatnot, but that could have been potentially fun. If they're going to truly look to build more to that 3-4, which I think it's clear at this point. I don't think they're hiding it anymore. Not that they ever were. They pretty much came out and said they wanted to do it. But at least they're putting those pieces in place, which is going to bring us to why we brought you on, man. The NFL draft, as I said, is next Thursday. Finally. And Edgar, do you think the NFL draft should be moved up? I know this has kind of been talked about here and there, but do you think it should be earlier in the off season?
I mean, for us that crave the NFL, it kind of spaces out the off season for us.
Yeah.
So those of us like you and I that are junkies that just want it all the time. This gives us a good middle mark, or the training camp. I think for the actual scouting and all that stuff, I don't think scouts and front offices and teams really need this much time to evaluate for an NFL draft.
Right.
But it is nice for us to space out all this stuff, and it gives us something to talk about, gives you something to talk about for an off season. But I think in actuality, in real life, they only really need this much time to draft a guy for next year.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been kind of saying that they wish it would be moved up. They don't need all this time, and it is. like it does seem. I don't know, like we talked about before. It hypes everything up. It gives it at this this day and age, everybody is interest as far as visits and everything is brought to light. You got some teams, people believe are hyping up a guy so they can get a trade pick for him. Really, maybe make other teams trade up to get this certain particular guy, a quarterback, whatever it may be. And I think all that kind of plays into account. But I just thought it was interesting. I saw some people talking about that, and I don't know, man. I would definitely enjoy it being better, but it's kind of like you said. Off-season workouts just started. The draft's next week. It's almost like it's kicking off football, for the OTAs and training camp and all that stuff. So, I mean, I guess I don't know. I could see it being earlier, but it ain't gonna make or break me one way or the other. I don't think, as much as it has some people anyway. So, Edgar, people interest for the Carolina Panthers right now, first round pick. Let's go ahead and talk about it, man.
Okay.
We know Andre Dillard has been a popular name. Obviously, Brian Burns is one I think everybody pretty much likes. It's one Carolina has shown plenty of interest in. And then looking at the mocks this week, which, by the way, are still all over the place. I mean, I'm still seeing some with the wide receiver and linebacker. Some of this stuff's just baffling to me. But also Farrell from Clemson, which has been a name kind of tied to Carolina throughout anyway. Also up there. It's not a guy I'm as high on. I don't think it's a guy you're really high on, and some others are. But he may be one of the top picks at 16 left.
Right.
What are you seeing? Like I said, I know y'all keeping up with the visits and everything. What are you seeing, and what are you feeling moving into this first round right now, personally?
So I self-proclaimed obsessed with visits and tracking interest of the Panthers. So I'm not that draft analyst that like Billy or all the good draft analysts that look at like particular players and how they slot. Like I'm really focusing on who have the Panthers been researching and bringing on visits. Speaking to Jordan on Twitter from Charlotte Observer, thinking about Marty's a very hands-on GM. So like, where is he going? Like, what pro dates is he going to?
Yep.
And those pro dates he's going to, who are they also bringing in for visits, right? And so there's a few of them that are like, okay, they definitely have to be interested. So you mentioned Andre Dillard, right? And he's a prototypical left tackle, a pass protector that has been in an offensive system that thrives on just protecting the passer. Like there was some graphic that I saw that said that he's had 900 plus snaps of protecting or pass protecting, right? And the next of the highest offensive tackles was Jonah Williams at like 400. So like he has a ton of experience protecting the blind side, right?
Yeah.
And so
we're looking for.
Yes, what we're looking for. Someone to protect the quarterback, right? Something so simple.
Precisely.
And the second thing that I've been noticing, and this is something that I've been like ruminating in my head, but haven't really said, but like something that's been said before. We're trying to figure out what Marty Herney's type is. Like, what is he interested in?
Have to dig back a little bit.
So I was just looking at, and this is something that again I haven't shared with anybody yet, but I was just looking at who are the last 4 top first round picks that Marty Herney has drafted, right?
Right.
So I looked at it. 2008, his very first one. That was the year that they drafted Jonathan Stewart and Jeff Otah. They got Jonathan Stewart in 2008. Fast forward a few years, he gave up first-round draft picks. 2011, Cam Newton. 2012, Luke Kuechly. And 2018, DJ Moore.
Right.
Okay. And so I was like, okay, what do these 4 guys have in common? Jonathan Stewart, Cam Newton, Luke Kuechly, DJ Moore, right? And so looking at it, I'm a big fan of Kent, his at MathBomb on Twitter, his relative athletic score. So he's another person that analyzes athletic profiles, like how athletic people are compared to other people in the draft class, right? And so what do these 4 people have in common? So when they drafted Jonathan Stewart, he was 21 years old. When they drafted Cam Newton, 21 years old. When they drafted Luke Kuechly, 21 years old. When they drafted DJ Moore, 21 years old. So he likes these younger guys, right?
Right.
Athletic profile, their relative athletic score, like what percentile were they? Jonathan Stewart, 98.9 percentile athleticism. Cam Newton, 100 percentile. Luke Kuechly, 100 percentile. And DJ Moore, 96.6 percentile. So he is craving, at least these last 4 first-round picks were all these dynamite, electric, elite athletes who were really, really young. Right.
And which is what a lot of NFL teams they talk about best player available. A lot of those teams do want that high athletic ability. I mean, that is true.
Yep. Yep. And he likes them young, not to be like perverted or anything like that, but he likes these young prospects. And so looking at this draft, he mentioned Brian Burns. He's at the 96th percentile,
yes.
21 years old, right? And so I just noticed that like those are the types of people that I'm sure the Panthers and Marty Herney would be interested in.
Yeah, I would love to have Brian Burns. I think he would fit perfectly in that new scheme they're bringing in on both sides. And you brought up Dillard a little bit. If I feel like a lot of things, something talked about with him is his versatility. Being able to play kind of around in multiple spots in that plug and play, which is kind of one thing they liked. Was brought up with Moton a little bit, but and I think you're in agreement as well with the majority of us that I talk to anyway, that we're not as big of a fan as moving Moton. Well, I think you said you feel like he could be satisfactory on the left side if we absolutely had to do that. But I would prefer him to stay at right tackle. Is that still what you're thinking as well?
So just to be clear, like my preference, and it's been on Panthers Twitter and people have talked about, I think Taylor Moton is an excellent right tackle and he's great. So there's no reason to move him, right? Yeah. But in practice or reality, and I was tweeting about this the other day, if you're Marty Herney, if you're in charge of the Panthers and you don't get an Andre Dillard, you don't get, a top flight left tackle in the draft, who else are you going to put at left tackle? Like there's literally nobody else. Are you going to go Chris Clark again? Are you going to go like these random jabroni left tackles? Like at some level, it's like I got to put in Taylor Moton because I literally have no one else that I can trust to defend the blind side, and I'll find somebody. This draft is full of right tackles, so I'm just saying if they miss out on a stud like Andre Dillard, or even someone like Jonah Williams, who hasn't been on the Panthers' radar but is still in that mix, I could see them saying, you know what, I'm just cut my losses. I can't find a left tackle. Let's put Taylor Moton there. Let's go get a right tackle, and I have my bookends for the future. I could see that as a possibility the Panthers are looking at.
Yeah, and I've seen, the mock drafts I've seen this week all have like, and mock drafts are kind of whatever. Anything, it seems like every year in the draft, something crazy happens in the top 10 and it puts a run on certain positions, or it makes one particular player just fall further than you expected. Like last year, everybody you would have, if you were talking to other people, they would have guaranteed you DJ Moore was going to be gone at the Panthers pick. And I wasn't as high on that personally because I didn't think, I wasn't on the train of getting him at pick 24 anyway, but I felt like he could fall, and I kept saying if he's there, that's who they're taking. I think everybody, had agreed if he fell that far, but nobody thought he'd be available, and that's kind of where I'm at with Brian Burns. This year, I don't believe Brian Burns at this point is going to fall. If he did, I think he's the clear-cut guy, in my opinion. But another guy on y'all's list that has gathered a ton of interest from Panthers, GM Marty Herney and visits and stuff, is Greg Little. And he was talked about early on, and he hasn't really been brought up here lately because of guys like Dillard. You're talking about Burns, Jonah Williams, even Jawan Taylor, who visited. Greg Little had a lot of interest, did he not? I mean, looking at y'all's list and stuff. I mean, Combine, I think he was there maybe a Senior Bowl. I know they had a private workout with him, I think it was.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's the guy a lot of people weren't talking about. And, I actually did I don't typically do mock drafts on the Draft Network. I know a lot of people do, but I did one today for shits and giggles. And I think I got Andre Dillard. I picked up Andre Dillard in the first. I got the second round, I picked up Darnell Savage, who I know you're also big on. And the Panthers seem to have some interest in them, do they not?
Yep, they did. They brought him in for a visit.
Yep. So, and I think that's the guy that, moving on to the second round, is not going to be there come the third round. Would you agree?
I mean, he's too athletic. Again, like, it's not just the Panthers, like just the field in general, the teams in general want highly athletic players, which makes sense. And he's like testing in, above 90th percentile. I'm sure some team will want him before they get to their third round pick.
Yeah, I really like the little bit of film I watched on him. And of course, when Billy did the breakdown on him, on catscratchreader.com, that was, that kind of solidifies it for me. I got a lot of respect for Billy's analysis. But look, guy on Periscope, little Popesters, it wants to know if Burns and Dillard are there at the same time at 16, who would you take, Edgar?
If it were up to me, I'm taking. I mean, first of all, you can't lose.
Right. Yeah.
I prefer. Let me give you a heads up here. Like my draft philosophy, and I was talking to, I know your good buddy Den also.
Right.
I was telling him my draft philosophy is not filling holes. Like my job, if I was managing a team, is like make my strengths even stronger.
Right.
And Cam Newton is the biggest difference maker on this team. So anything that makes him even stronger makes this team more dangerous.
Right.
But if I'm just above average on every like position versus like a team that has really strong something, a really strong area,
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather be a master of something than a jack of all trades. So I would pick Andre Dillard, protect Cam Newton, make him feel comfortable in the pockets. As we all know, in 2015, a protected Cam, a healthy Cam is a dangerous Cam. And so anything I could do, wide receivers, offensive linemen, you already have Christian McCaffrey, anything to make Cam even more dangerous makes this team even like stronger and moving forward in the playoffs.
Yeah, I completely agree. I said that all after the season ended. I was like, a lot of people are still saying edge, and a lot of people still are saying edge. But and Brian Burns is the one guy that I wouldn't mind in that scenario. Like you said, you can't lose in this situation. But the whole thing is like, we've never given Cam max protection. We have an opportunity to start building towards that now. The right side is pretty much solidified. If you can get a starter at left tackle, the biggest hole you have is left guard, and you still don't know what you have in Paradis yet. I mean, he's not completely healthy. He's not completely back, but you like the signing. So you have a chance to really give Cam protection. He finally has some weapons. Well, we're not going to go like, superstar weapons. We had this discussion on Twitter.
Right.
But he has, the best group he's had, which still isn't saying a ton, but it's still the best group he's had. And you've got playmakers. This is the point, like you said, make your strength stronger. I mean, I like how you put that there. Yes, you're kind of sacrificing, potential in the defense, but they addressed those positions in free agency a little bit. Whether they were superstar talent or not, they were putting guys in there to help the new schemes and stuff they want to bring in. The spots they haven't really addressed outside of center is that left side. They brought back Darrell Williams. I guess many would say, oh, well, he's going to play right tackle. You move Moton over. That's all. We'll just have to see about all that. But yeah, I wouldn't be upset with Dillard at all there, or Burns.
And I'll say this too, like in a salary cap league, you have to be good at something. You can't be great at every position, right? Like this is just not like if there was no salary cap, it'd be a different philosophy. But because we're a salary cap league, a league that prioritizes passing, that prioritizes like superstars, difference makers, you might as well make your difference maker, Cam Newton, the best difference maker you have, make him as strong and as elite as possible. I know you said that he has a better group of playmakers around him than he's ever had. Right. I'm saying that like, what would Cam look like if he had an even better playmaking cast, right? Like you already saw what he's like in 2015 with like Jericho Cotchery and Ted Ginn and these guys and Michael Oher and Mike Remmers protecting him, right? So how much better could Cam Newton be if he upgraded the things around him? And that's why I'd love to see someone like Andre Dillard protecting him.
It's nice to think about. I mean, yeah, you're right. And if you look around the division, you've got Julio and Ridley. You've got Evans and oh my God, Chris Godwin, Evans and Chris Godwin, Michael Thomas. They got Ted Ginn now, who is still, still good. Whether anybody else wants to admit it, I mean, he's not like a superstar talent, but he's really good at stretching the field. So yeah, I mean, and around the division, you've got some decent quarterbacks. I know Tampa Bay is struggling. Matt Ryan's up and down, but you still got Drew Brees in New Orleans, and we've seen what they've done the last 2 years. You've got to be able to compete, and protecting Cam at this point, especially after trying to come back from an injury, it should give you more emphasis to do so. What are your thoughts on potentially trading back at 16 for more picks? I mean, is there a situation that you would see personally where you would like to see that? I mean, if say Burns, Jonah Williams, obviously probably Sweat's going to be gone as well. Dillard and all those other guys. Is there a scenario you see where you'd rather trade back for more picks?
I think if you all those studs kind of like lead the board, then by all means, like trade back and amass more capital.
Right.
But if there's someone really good, like the best left tackle in this class, arguably, and Andre Dillard's there, I'm not going to trade back. Like I'd rather kind of like wait and see.
Absolutely.
But obviously, like capital is very exciting. But obviously, like not having all that capital and missing out on a potential star player I'd rather have the star player than multiple, average, above average players.
And the 5th-year option.
And the 5th-year option is incredible.
Yeah, especially if you can land somebody big. I would agree. And while we're talking about quarterbacks, this quarterback topic has been brought up for, I don't know, since Cam came to Carolina, I guess, but it's really heated up now with his injury and the interest in Will Grier from West Virginia. Joe Person was on WFNZ today saying, and he has sources and whatnot coming out saying that his mock draft, he has Carolina taking Will Grier in the 2nd round, Edgar. I that would upset me. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, and a part of me gets it. Like, I understand you have to have an insurance policy if Cam's gone, right?
Right.
I get that, but I just don't know that Will Grier. And Igo said something today, like, yeah, is Will Grier or a rookie quarterback going to come in if Cam goes down and win a bunch of games? No, but it's giving him a year more of experience than getting a guy next year if Cam's gone in 2020, which is a real possibility. I think a lot of people need to accept that, by the way. This year, and Marcel from Charlotte Observer put out an article pretty much stating it in so many words, this is a big year for Cam Newton and his 2020 contract. Like, it's huge. I mean, how he comes back from this injury, how he performs. I mean, he's going to get another nice payday, and Carolina right now is not in the best shape. I mean, obviously this changes drastically from year to year as well, but they're not in the best shape. And if he didn't come out here and perform and they draft a QB, it's probably going to be time to start looking past him. I mean, I don't want to. I love Cam Newton, obviously. I've always been a Cam supporter. But Will Grier in the 2nd round, man. I mean, even in the 3rd round, I still think it's a bit of a stretch. I would not – actually, in my mock draft, I took him in the 4th. He was there. Again, I don't think he'll be there in the 4th in the real draft come next Friday. But what are your thoughts on this whole quarterback situation? I'm personally a big fan of Kyle Allen. No, I don't think he's going to be Tom Brady, everybody. But I don't know that anybody coming in from the draft can do anything better than what he can.
I think that let me start here. I'm not an anti Will Grier guy. There's no Will Grier hate here. I'm not against Will Grier.
Same.
I'm sure he's probably a fine gentleman and a great quarterback and whatever.
True scholar.
My frustration, true scholar, gritty and anyway. Long story short, like I wouldn't mind in general, like getting a quarterback and, in terms of like a draft capital, having a quarterback that maybe if he doesn't pan out, you could trade him for other pieces, right? It's a good commodity to have. My frustration is like, why would you draft a quarterback like Will Grier or any backup quarterback so highly in the 2nd round when you could be investing all that time and energy in finding other people around Cam Newton, right? My challenge is that, then the second challenge that I have is like, how good is this front office evaluating quarterbacks? This general manager has to be said, drafted Jimmy Clausen, right? Drafted 3 quarterbacks in the same draft. Had, instead of, replacing Derek Anderson, we had, for better or for worse, had Kyle Allen, right? And Taylor Heineke. And when we saw what they were, so like, how good is this team, this, North Turner, Marty Herney, how good are they at evaluating quarterbacks in general anyway, right? And so my biggest frustration is like, is this a sign, like you said, with a contract year, is this where we're going to invest and start looking at the next page of the Panthers franchise? Or should I be saying like, why am I wasting all my time trying to find a backup quarterback in the 2nd round when I could be helping out Cam, and if
exhausting your resources to give him that opportunity to prove.
Right, you could have used that time to take an offensive lineman to dinner or bring them in. Like, why are you doing this?
Right.
And so I'm hoping, praying. It's just a smokescreen. I don't want to say a smokescreen, but like it's overblown. Like they're interested, but not that interested. Right. I'm hoping that another team that likes Will Grier wants that 5th-year option and takes him in the 1st round. But at the end of the day, I know it's a mock draft, but if you have a quarterback who's halfway decent, or you think of something, they're not going to last until the 4th round. And I'm just hoping and praying that somebody takes Will Grier before the Panthers even have a shot of thinking about it.
Yeah, and I mean, Kyle Allen probably could have been. He was a top recruit out of high school, 5-star recruit, offers all across the country. Ultimately went to Texas A&M, and I think this is what started his downfall to his career in the NFL. You come in behind Johnny Manziel. Him and Kyler Murray both, not just Kyle Allen. Him and Kyler Murray both transferred out of Texas A&M to different schools because of the culture left behind with the Manziel era and everything else. And I think that says a lot. And that right there by itself really put him behind the 8 ball. And then he had an injury. He lost his starting job in Houston. Then he was back in it and ultimately just decided to declare for the draft and move on from, college and pursue. And the Panthers ended up getting him undrafted. Now, granted, he doesn't have like a cannon of an arm. He also doesn't, he doesn't lack a big arm. He still has power to get it downfield. We saw that to Curtis Samuel. But I just don't know. I feel like all of that played a part in him being so under the radar, I guess I would say. And some fans being like, oh, well, he's an undrafted free agent. Like, he's never going to be good or this or that. Do I know if he'd even be a starting franchise quarterback anywhere? No, of course not. And I wouldn't dare say that. I don't know. But I just feel like a lot of people are writing him off. And the other thing is, if you go and get a guy like Will Grier, you already got Allen under contract. You got Heineke. You keeping 4 guys on this roster at QB?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to put Will Grier on the practice squad if you draft him high, right?
Right.
So I don't know. There's a lot of questions that go with that. Like you said, I hope it's a smokescreen. If we got Will Grier, I would hope he is fantastic. Obviously, anybody, just because I don't particularly want somebody here or there, doesn't mean I wouldn't welcome them and pull for them. I'm going to do that anyway. But like you said, I'm hoping it's more of a smokescreen or overblown, I guess is what you would say.
Yeah.
But
I think it's obvious that they're interested, but like I don't know if the second round interest is overblown, and I'm scared. Like if they do like Will Grier, like the second round would be where probably they'd have to take him. But I'm hoping that like somebody else falls or somebody takes them before the Panthers. I think the other frustration I have too is like one, like if you lose Cam, you're already done for the season. So why waste so much capital in a backup quarterback who's not even going to play? And then second, next year has potentially one of the deeper years in quarterback next year.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence potentially.
Herbert out of Oregon. So like, if you're gonna tank and fall to the ground hard, might as well wait till next year and think about that contract year for Cam later. But like now, it seems silly why they're even considering drafting a backup QB so high if they even go that route.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you could. Well, with their pick in the second round, I don't really know that you could benefit from it that much. But I guess you could draft in the first, maybe offensive line, and then trade back in the second, gather more picks, and then pick Will Grier. And you're gathering some picks for later. But I just think you can. There's so many glaring holes. I think that you can address some of those holes, and get immediate contributing talent on the team. Whereas Will Grier, unless something is completely opposite of what everybody's saying about Cam's rehab, Will Grier is not going to come in here and immediately contribute. I mean, if he's drafted in the second round. So I don't know. I just thought that needed to be hit on because obviously it's a hot topic right now.
And even worse than that, Trip, like even if it was Will Grier, I'm like, okay, fine, I can understand. But if they go in the second round and get like someone like Jarrett Stidham or another quarterback like Clayton Thorson that they've shown interest in, then I completely lose it.
No, you can't do that, man. That would, and I know a lot of people. Billy is not a fan of either Thorson or Stidman, and I know the Patriots had all 3 of the same quarterbacks in for visits as well. So I mean, they seem to get one particular quarterback right, unfortunately. But that's just one. It doesn't mean they could have hit the jackpot once. Doesn't mean they're going to hit it every time. But that would be anything above the third round, in my opinion. But doing that mock draft today, Edgar, it was like when I got into the third round, after the first third round pick, I was sitting here like, oh, this is getting really hard. Like, because you can start reaching for guys that you like, but you could probably get in the fourth round. Like, and I would hate to be in that war room. I'd hate to have to be making these decisions personally. But I'm probably not going to like one or two. But we all know Marty Hurney has hit big in the first rounds of NFL drafts in his career. But it's the middle rounds where you can really make your team a lot better by hitting, and that's one spot he seemed to struggle. So
And I will say this, like that was his, that was his reputation for a while. After Cam, there was like nothing after. After Luke, nothing, right?
right,
Last year, I kind of saw a change in his philosophy, right? And so, second round, he got Dante Jackson, and a great cornerback, super fast, super athletic, and a physical guy, right?
right.
Ian Thomas in the fourth round, another physical, great story. So, Marquise Haynes, like I see them kind of moving towards, and I think Jordan or somebody mentioned this on the beats, but they're talking about how they're looking more towards these physical, gritty, like gamer types. So like now that I'm looking at these visits and who they're bringing in, like are they those nasty physical types? I know recently, yesterday, Jordan reported that Cody Ford is coming in for a
Yes.
visit, and he just fits that prototype of like he just big, nasty, throws people to the ground, finishes blocks. So I'm also
Trey
with
Turner.
an eye for Trey Turner, like, and so I'm keeping my eye on when you said like you'd be stuck in the war room. One of the things that we don't have as media people or people that are watching afar, we don't know what they're like behind the scenes in
Yep.
interview rooms, in film rooms, right? And so if they have that nasty presence, I think if he keeps on that trajectory, I think he might hit a little bit more later on, like he did last year.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, pass protection is a big deal too, but it's always been a staple in Carolina for run game, and I'm sure they're going to want somebody that can maul, you know, so that all that fits as well. But when you were describing that sounded exactly like Trey Turner to me. I mean, just nasty. Andrew Norwell, just nasty in your
Yes,
face.
yes.
Unfortunately, we had to let Norwell walk. I think if both of those guys were on the same years, I think that you're probably seeing Andrew Norwell get that deal instead of Trey Turner. Do you agree with that?
I'm afraid so. And I don't want to short Trey Turner. I
No,
think
not
like
at all. Not at all.
he's looked off these last couple of years, or maybe just last year. But I want to say like maybe there's an injury that was undisclosed, but like at his peak, he was that big nasty guy like Andrew Norwell. But I'm just hoping that maybe he comes back to like full health and we get to see that old Trey Turner of old.
Yeah, I mean, we still see a couple of clips here or there of it in a couple of games each year. But yeah, he definitely made that impact of just in your face, knocking you down, finishing blocks, and letting you know he's going to be there. Heck, he didn't he get a penalty last year? Or no, you heard it on the mic, Cam talking junk to Trey because of having to call a timeout before delay a game. He's like, he's talking about something about talking Trey talking trash to somebody, which. I'm all about that. Getting guys out. I mean, Steve Smith did it for years, and it seemed to work. But yeah, I mean, I feel like if they were on the same years and the same terms, I feel like Andrew Noel would be getting that contract instead of Trey Turner. And like you said, not shorting Trey Turner at all. He's great, and I'm very glad we have him shoring up that right side. Hopefully, we can address this left side moving forward. NFL schedule coming out tomorrow. How hyped are you?
Kind of hyped. A 5. I mean, we already know who they're playing.
Yeah.
Are you going to London?
No, I wish, man. I can't do that trip. That's a lot of do re mi for me.
But they have a couple games that are on the West Coast. So like, I'm curious to see what time of the year they're coming over here on the West Side.
They got San Francisco, right?
San Francisco and Arizona.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that'd be cool. It'd be nice for you to be able to make a. They didn't have one last year, did they?
Did not. But I will say that my wallet is thankful.
Yeah, I'm sure. Those are never cheap. Yeah, I was looking at London because Minnie and I were sitting there talking. I was like, man, that would be a sweet trip. Once in a lifetime, you're seeing London. They're going to be doing a bunch of stuff, and you get to watch the Panthers. It's a win-win. But, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I want to make some other games around here too. So, yeah, I'm not like – I mean, I'm excited to see the schedule. Don't get me wrong, and I'm excited for – fans, and Roaring Riot members to get it so they can plan, because I'm gonna need to plan for some of them. I might like to go to another away game. So, but I saw where Tennessee might be the opener. They're always popping out with leaks every year, man. Somebody's got to be on the schedule leak. But that'll be interesting to see tomorrow. I wish you were going to the draft, dude. I know it's like all the way from the other side from you, but.
Well, next year it's in Vegas, so that's the dream.
Oh man, we play the Raiders in Vegas next year, I believe, right?
That I'm not sure of. I don't even know if they really are coming to Vegas next year.
I think the plan is for them to move to Vegas because buddy of mine's a big Raiders fan, and I am planning on going to that trip if they make it, if they have the stadium done.
All right, well I'll see you there.
Yeah, I guess I won't be at the draft, so that would be disappointing. But Anyway, well, Edgar, thanks for jumping on tonight, man. I always appreciate having you on and getting your y'all's intake. What's the link everybody can go check that out on for Gene's? I think it's his WordPress site to see all these visits and stuff because it's really good information. Actually, while I was doing my mock today, I had it pulled up and I was like interest, trying to go through and make some picks and stuff.
Yes.
So go ahead and plug that in y'all's stuff if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's not a very easy URL to remember, but it's panthergf.wordpress.com. They do a great job of not only tracking visits and interests, but Billy and Gene have gone so far this year of like finding out Instagram stories and also like which coaches are at which pro days. So it's a great site to check out. Again, Gene is the mastermind of all that. But if you are plugged in and really want to know what the Panthers are thinking, that's a great site, a great resource to look at.
Yeah, I love it every year. Him and Billy and even you, of course, them guys posting screenshots from people's Instagram stories. I'm like, how do you keep up with this? Like, it's insane. Like, I'm over here trying to get stuff together for like a show, a week or every 2 weeks, and plugging it in. I'm like, I couldn't even one person. Man, it's a good thing y'all are a team over there knocking it out because every year that list comes in handy.
And just as an aside, for Gene and for Billy and for Den, for you guys, like I tell the story every year, but like I was a Panther fan growing up in LA and didn't get to see like any draft coverage at all. So like for you guys, continue to pump out content, articles, clips, everything about what the Panthers are doing in the draft. Like I just want to thank you, Trip, personally for helping me like get over this off season and making this part like really enjoyable for me.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's always a struggle. Yeah, definitely some diehard fans to invest time and money. A lot of people don't realize that either. A lot of this stuff takes money to do. It doesn't just appear and we're like, hey, let's do this stuff and talk about things. No, it takes time and money. But yes, I love it. Wouldn't trade it. And I look forward to Den and I are teaming up next week and going to do some coverage of the draft. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's going to be a blast. Hopefully we can I'll be talking to you on Twitter, I'm sure, and everybody else while everything's going on down there. It's going to be – they're expecting like 100,000 people down there, dude. 100,000 people. I don't even know if we're going to be able to hear each other talk. It's going to be crazy. But, yeah, y'all be sure to check out Edgar on Twitter, at Panthers Analyst. It's spelled exactly like it sounds, no crazy handle. At Panthers Analyst. Be sure to follow him there and check out all their stuff. Edgar, again, man, thanks for thanks for jumping on. Thanks for having me on, but thank you for joining. And we'll be catching you again next season sometime. Hopefully, we have a lot to talk about. Good news this time. I hope we'll recollect after this draft. How about that?
Yes, we'll do. Thank you for having me.
All right. Y'all be sure to like and follow this wherever you're watching, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Be sure to like and follow, subscribe, do all that stuff. And we will see you next week. I actually will be live tomorrow with Den again, doing some more draft talk and stuff. Talking a little bit more about next week. And then next week is the NFL draft. We're pumped. We're going to be bringing it to you live all over the place. If you miss it, I don't know how. Get out from under that rock. But y'all keep pounding, and I will see y'all tomorrow night. Peace.